Carthage must be destroyed. I'm going to do something a little different today, something that I've not done before. I've done some unboxings before on this channel where I open up plastic boxes and share stuff, but I notice on some channels, some people like to share their metal acquisitions, or they share something they bought that was 3D printed. So instead of just looking at an unboxing today, I'm going to show you some different metals that I've gotten from some different companies recently, and if people like this or I need some content to film, I'll try and make this a regular video session on my channel here. In any case, all of these models here are metal acquisitions I've gotten in the past, I want to say 3 months, and maybe I'll do a monthly video or something like that. I saw other people share the models they got and thought, hey, you know what, it's kind of cool if you want to get a model from a certain company but don't know the quality and they don't do any plastics to compare with, really. There's a lot of plastic unboxings like that I've done and others have done, but maybe some people haven't done all the model stuff. So, and we're all kind of guilty of this, where we I think anyway, maybe some more of you focused people who you stick to one project won't do this, but I think a lot of miniature collectors kind of jump around all the place, especially if they get past the Games Workshop initial. I say, I think a majority of people who get into this hobby, they start with Games Workshop because that is the big, Citadel is the big one, where they are the biggest company, so they have kind of a monopoly on the advertising. And if you go to a mall, especially in the Western world, you're gonna find a Games Workshop if it's a big city, right? Or some friend introduced you to it. It's usually Warhammer or Warhammer 40k, or maybe Age of Sigmar, where a good chunk of people start out. Now, a good chunk of people maybe stay there and that's all they paint and get to know, but a lot of us, like me, and many of you that are probably watching this channel, discover other fantasy games, and you also can discover historical games. Now, I know a good chunk of people also didn't start with Games Workshop, also started with historicals, like back in the day, right? Maybe they went to a hobby store, or they went to some sort of board game club and they saw tiny historicals. I think they're a lot smaller than they are now for 28 millimeters. So regardless of how you started out, I think that the idea of sharing different metals that you guys might find, or I might find rather too, is a good way just to introduce and spread news to, your viewers and your subscribers, to show them that you have alternative sources you may not have heard of before. So I'm going to start with the historical stuff, because I do have some historical and fantasy things here. The first one I'm going to start with is Giants in Miniatures. I believe these are from the War Games Illustrative. These are from, well, I know they're from the War Games Illustrated website, but this is their line of models that they do. They pick out some historical characters. I got a bit of hair on there. They pick out some historical characters and they make limited amounts of each of those characters. They only make 500 from my understanding. So when you buy these kind of models, you're gonna get an information card with a written number. I have number 63 out of 500 here. And then they give you some information and history about these historical figures. Here, I have Harry Hotspur. You can look up his history there if you want. But this is this is their most recent one. And I think it fits nicely with my Knight and Agincourt stuff that I'm doing. So he is definitely the right era with his get up there. It's a nice cast model. When I first got this guy, I was worried because he's not Perry, that he's gonna be kind of big next to the plastics. But, however, he's not too bad. His helmet might be a little different from the other knights. You can check him out later. But size-wise, once he's painted up, I think he's gonna fit right in fine with the Perry models. I might even make him a commander, or an additional kind of side or diorama character. Another model I got, and I got him at the same time I got Harry Hotspur here, is Sir John Hawkwood. Now, I got number 11 here, and he was out before Harry, which tells me not a whole lot of people might be buying Sir John Hawkwood. But I'm going to show you guys here that he's actually a really good model. He is decked out in what I think looks more like later historical models, and I've put this on the Lead Adventure forum, however, I think it's Lead Adventure forum, on a little bit of a Agincourt post. I've been discussing things there. His armor, in my opinion, is based off of a artwork piece that is made in, I think, the 1450s of him. So they've given him a bit of an anachronistic armor. They've given him armor of the 1450s, but if you look at the info card, he dies in 1394. He's mostly active before Italian plate and Gothic plate come out. So if you look at the artwork of him, he's actually got armor that fits more in the later part of the 15th century, but he dies before the 15th century even starts. So he's a bit, I think, ahead of his time in the model, but I figured this would work great for, like, you know, a Burgundian era commander or something like that. So I think good potential using him if you want to use him as a future model. Maybe not so much Sir John Hawkwood, but I thought he looked good, and he turned out great in the end, so I got him as well. So that's it from Giants and Miniatures. The next thing I want to share with you guys is I'm going to do 1898 Miniaturas next. Spanish company here, that they do some really good models covering the 30 Years' War. They do Spain and 30 Years' War. They also do the Philippine and American War. They've recently done some really cool stuff with, I think it's Morocco's, maybe Berbers, I don't know about Berbers, but Morocco's, and definitely the French Foreign Legion. So they do some interesting periods that I don't see a lot of people do. What I have here is actually some Americans in the Philippine War, and I just want to show you guys these figures. These might have been their first range they released in metals, I'm not sure. Again, it's a Spanish site, so I'm not entirely sure on all of their history. But here I'm going to show you 3 of these American, I'm going to call them American infantry. They may be Marines. Now, these guys at the turn of the century, this would have been like just when the 20th century was starting in the Philippines. These are supposed to be American Marines, so they're going to be in blues for their uniform with the kind of rifles they have there. I think they're really cool models, and they even they look really American. Just the style of mustache coming out of the 1800s there. So this guy even to me looks like he got a bit of a John Wayne look. So I think he did a really good job, or whoever sculpted these did a really good job at them. I'm using these guys not for the Philippines War eventually. I'm going to use them for the Boxer Rebellion, because it's the same era that America fielded Marines in China to face the Boxers, right? There's 8 different countries fighting against the Boxers and eventually China, and one of them was America, and they had Marines stationed there. I don't know if the uniforms are exact, but from the depictions that I've seen, they basically look similar to the soldiers that were in the Philippines at the time. So these are some marching ones. I got 3 of their packs of infantry. I also have the skirmishing ones here that are really cool. Again, that John Wayne, I think it looks like John Wayne or something. Very American in style. I like this guy's sculpting here, because to me they look American. Like, you look at a guy who's European, but just the facial structure, just the way it looks, just screams American for me for some reason. So that's amazing. I won't show all the guys here because I don't want the video to be too terribly long. Some of the pieces in the kit, this isn't, I believe, an officer here, a commander of some sort. They do have multi-pieces on the medal. You got his nice saber at the side there. But this guy here, you can give him a mustache, or another dude yelling out orders. You can give him a, come on, follow me, hand, or a revolver of the era. And so there is a little bit of customization for the command model there. I really like them. There's a bugleist in there. Again, he'll have an option of what kind of hand you want to do. And then they also have a standard bearer. They don't give you the pole, you have to get the flag. But basically, the standard bearer here has a set of arms where you glue them on either side, and he's going to be carrying the... Again, I don't know about the faces. The faces... Already in this era, I have kind of a stereotype of what Americans look like from films and stuff. And I almost feel like he captured it. And they don't just look like generic, English speakers or Europeans. To me, they look American in the face, and I think that's an amazing thing on the sculptor's part. Maybe all of his models look like that, but to me, these guys just look American. So I won't share all of those with you. Some are full pieces, some are multi-pieces, not too difficult to put together. But the last historical thing I want to share with you guys is here, not this German Victrix model. It is going to be split from historical into fantasy. I have from CP Models here, I believe it's called, some war dogs. Now these look like Irish war dogs, and they're very basic. They're just, they look furry. They look like exactly that, furry war dogs. I got these because I wanted some war dogs for the Celts and the Germans I have in the future for my barbarian hordes. But the ones I had from Warlord Games are dismally small. They're really tiny, and they're supposed to match the old Warlord medals, which are smaller than a lot of the new stuff coming out today, like the newer Victrix stuff, for example, that I mostly have. The Celts and the Germans don't really match up that well because sculpts from an earlier time, so they're smaller. That includes the dogs. I even think the dogs that Warlord puts as the Celtic War Dogs are also too small for their own models. So I went to CP Models, and I picked out these dogs, and they're fairly large. Now, are they the size of today's modern Irish Warhounds? I don't know if they're Warhounds, but they're Irish Wolfhounds is probably a better term. I don't know. I don't even know if these are German dogs. I think they're actually called Irish Wolfhounds on the website. But they're much bigger than what Warlord had, and to me, they look more wild. Maybe not as fierce, but more sizable to Victrix. So that's why I got these from CP Models, because I want some sort of basic war dog that is hairy and could look like the Germans have brought it, or the Celts have brought them with them to fight the Romans. So that's why I got 4 of those there. So that's it for the historical acquisitions. Let's just look at a couple fantasy things. You probably saw the bad Squiddo Games thing back there, but I'm going to show you the other CP models first. I got these cool dwarf desert models here. I have these Empire guard towers from way back when that I'm going to use up eventually, and I just wanted some models, some fantasy models to go with it. And these are desert dwarves from the Desert Empire on CP Models website, and they're just purely fantasy dwarves. I like this guy's shield. It's almost orc-like, but whatever, maybe he's a chaos dwarf, I don't know. There's a wizard and a warrior, and then there's another kind of like hammer lord here, again with kind of even like a, almost look orc-like, the shield, like maybe he took it from a goblin or an orc, I don't know. But just some cool sculpts that I thought was interesting, meant to be for the desert dwarves, whatever you want to be, generic fantasy stuff. The last thing, which I haven't opened, this is my first model from Bad Squiddo Games, is this Bishidog and the Shogun Meow. And I got this just because my wife thought they were cute. So, I'm not heavy into samurai or fantasy stuff from Japan, but I am going to open this. Let's call this video's unboxing, this unpackaging, if you will. This is the dice bag lady. You can look up Bad Squiddos online. You can look up Annie there. She has a website. She does all sorts of fantasy and female warriors and stuff like that. Good alternatives if you need stuff like that. But let's look at this Doge. This Doge. The Doge of Japan. So there you go. You got a dog in samurai armor. Looks like it's supposed to be some sort of, I would think, a Hachi type dog. Might not quite be. Maybe you can join these Irish Wolfhounds. Together, they can crush the Romans, right? I thought it was cute. It'll be fun to paint when I get to it. So that's cute. Let's also look at this cat. Samurai Pizza Cats. I watched that as a kid. That was one of the only Japanese cartoons I ever watched. Samurai Pizza Cats. Alright. And there you go. There's the Shogun of Japan in cat form. That's pretty cute. I love the helmet. The big kabuto. And he's got, of course, those... I don't know what it's called. I don't know much about the samurai stuff for armor and stuff other than the kabuto, but it does look cute. Sitting there, this cat in his Shogun Meow armor. So that's it for that video today. I just wanted to share with you guys a bunch of stuff that I acquired. Maybe I'll do this every month when I get new medals. I do have some other medals and stuff coming in from different companies. Maybe I can share them with you and compare them and just, you know, spread some word and introduce some new stuff to you all about these other alternative companies out there you may or may not have heard of. So thank you all for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.